Available. Alrighty. Are you recording now, or? Oh, okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 27, 2022 meeting of the Crawford Memorial Library Board of Trustees. I'll begin the meeting with our first order of business, which is a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And our first order of official business, if you will, is a welcome to our newest member, Adriana Buda, who joins us for her first meeting. We're looking forward to having your participation and having you keeping us on track.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Adriana has a young son, and I think I'm going to stretch this a bit. I see her as kind of representing that side of the building, if you will, which is a big part of the building, as a matter of fact, but bringing in some of those issues that maybe some of us who are out of the child-rearing business at present, she can be our voice or
That's exactly my
ears
plan.
And our voice.
Yes.
Exactly
for
your
young
plan.
Moms.
Okay, good. Thank you. Our next order of business is review of the minutes for the August 16th meeting. There was some emailing back and forth and some updates and changes, so hopefully everyone is now in possession of a updated and revised copy of.
Yep.
Okay.
I just have a couple of, what's that? Do we have the upgraded one now?
That's right.
Yeah, Ed handed it out.
Yeah, I think so.
I dropped it
black
on
and
your
white
pile
one.
of
It's the
things.
black and white copy, not the color.
Oh, okay.
So, a couple of changes, or a couple of additions.
Additions, okay.
Videographer is Amanda
Gage.
Gage, G-A-G-E.
I just took it out.
No, I know, but we want to add her. I'm making a
Do
change.
we want to have the videographer
Yeah.
always? Yes?
Yeah,
That's
I
something
think
we
it might
need?
be a good point to have
They
in
don't
there.
vote or anything.
No, but
they're
they
present.
are a critical
They're present
part
at
of
the
our
meeting.
communication
Yeah,
with
they're
the world out there.
We've always had it before, so.
Gage, G-A-G-E?
G-A-G-E, Amanda Gage. Let me see here.
And was there something else, Joyce, you said?
Yep. We typically list at the end, after adjournment or before adjournment, our next meeting date
Okay.
and time.
Okay,
So that would need to be added.
yeah.
So that would have been today's date.
Prior to
Yep.
the motion to adjourn, yeah.
Yeah.
And then motion to adjourn, you just need to put it J, not K. Neredzinski.
Joyce,
Oh, yes.
Joyce, not Kathy.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Oh, I need a what?
A J instead
At
of
the
a K.
very end.
And
there-
it says motion to
Motion to adjourn
adjourn.
says K,
It's like
Neredzinski, it should be
J.
a J.
Neredzinski.
Oh. I'm looking in the word adjourn and I'm going,
It looks good to me.
J.
J.
Okay,
Neredzinski.
that's easy.
And then above that, when they talked about the new library position, town manager indicates it will start at an entry level. Need to consider options and all that, but I'm not sure where that is, but when I spoke with him, it could be a new position. So I think that just needs to be clarified, that it doesn't have to be an entry level position.
That's not what I have from him in writing. It says it's an entry level, it's a library assistant.
Right, but my discussion, I just want to say that we need clarification then, because when I spoke with him, he
Okay.
said it could be either or.
Well,
Then-
I've heard it both ways, so.
My thought would be, we'll leave it as it is now, and
Yeah.
we'll look for some clarification from him in future.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So.
All right, well, thank you, Ed. I know that.
All right, anything else?
That was, no, you did a fine job. Transitioning into that position is tough. And thank you, Kathy, for having done it as long as you did.
If you email me a copy.
Especially when we don't have a
Updated.
video
Yeah,
backup.
then I can
It's
post
a lot
it.
easier to go back
Yeah.
and check the video to get some of those things
And
that
it-
you're not sure of, but without it, you're flying solo.
Right.
And Ed, it just needs to be submitted to the town clerk and have a note on it that says approved at, and like today's meeting date, approved
Right.
at the board meeting.
Right.
And just submit it to the town clerk.
On that note, what is the board's pleasure with regards to the minutes as revised and amended? We need a few minutes to review.
I think I'd still like it to say clarification, with the town
Clarification
administrator.
pending?
Yes, yeah, as far as the new position goes.
All right. Can we make that change yet? do you
So
think?
you wanted
How
to
do we wanna say it?
read, this new library position needs clarification, or is that enough, or
We'll need to consider options. Isn't that covered?
that's,
Well, clarification, it was what the position can be,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, just,
Yeah,
we
just
can change the word.
clarification
to
with the town
Clarification
manager,
needed or
yes.
something to
Yep.
that effect.
And I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes with the amendments.
And do we have a second?
I'll second. Kathy.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. We'll make that unanimous for those of us here. Okay. Moving along. The director's report, the highlight of all of our meetings.
For programs, you have a list of upcoming, with the director's report. We're adding stuff. You might want to sit over there, I have a plate.
She has a cold.
She has a plate.
We're adding things, filling in some spaces. We've got, Lita and I are both working on spring programming, so this list will expand. We have a lot of interesting and fun stuff coming up for all ages. For budget, we are in good shape. I went before the Capital Improvement Committee and FAA, and we are on the town warrant for the October town meeting for funding to replace the carpet, pending their ability to figure out where to get the money from, which they were.
If I may, I'm a little uncertain as to what the actual date of the town meeting is. Does anyone
I
have that
believe
calendar
it's the
date by chance?
24th,
24th?
I think so.
Okay, that would be a Monday.
24th of October?
Yes.
And I don't know what has been recent practice, but we, I think in the past, have encouraged the members of the board to attend, especially when we have items pending on the town warrant. Having said that, I will not be available on that.
Nice move.
Segued into that one, right?
They announce free cash, usually that's kind of depends how far we get along in the meeting in
Yeah,
October.
so they are not quite sure of the free cash estimate, what the actual dollar amount would be. The estimate is about $500,000.
With 3 million requests.
I was going to say with a number of requests, so it kind of depends on where other requests can be taken from and where, how much that leaves. I made the case that we've been on the plan, it should not be a surprise. We've been on the capital improvement plan for several years.
Right.
We were supposed to be on the list for replaced carpeting in 2020, so.
I just don't know if there's other things.
Well, the Capital Improvement Committee met on the 20th, and there were a number of items there. Some of them were to be covered by grants, but there was a
Yeah, it's
a
some of them,
high-
it's gonna depend on if they can
Right.
identify a grant, and then so they're working on it. For those of us that don't have a specific fund for our requests, the committee is in the process of figuring out where that money will come from.
So, fingers crossed.
Facility report, we have columns.
If I may, just to interrupt, you did present to the selectmen on the September 12th meeting. They frankly were, I think the phrase might be appropriate, blown away with the number of variety of programming that was available. Mr. Marcy was just, his eyes were just bulging, if you will. But I don't think it was a medical condition. So they were impressed. And then I believe,
this again.
following up on that, there was also an article in the Webster Times.
Yes.
The next edition of. So we've got some good press and we've got some good PR in terms of the selectmen.
Yes.
How often do you go in front of the selectmen?
I try to go every few months.
How many times did you go last year?
Last year, I think I went once, but a number of their meetings were virtual, so that made it a little harder. But, so I've been to talk about programming, then I went to talk about the carpet. I'm planning to go, once we've gotten through the bid process for Crawford Corner, so hopefully sometime later in the fall, I'll go again. I try to, when we have something exciting to talk about.
I think we need to be present. I do. I think we need to be present with the selectmen.
I've made an effort. I was there. I was the only member of the public that was in attendance last evening at the selectmen's meeting, so they're not particularly well attended. Maybe people are more comfortable watching them with popcorn in hand on TV, but it's not unusual to see a very small audience, and the department heads are there as required, and that pretty much is what you can count on in terms of people showing up.
I hope they do that thing where maybe they'll do meetings at
I was
different
just gonna say, did we
locations.
get
I
invited?
think it was great when they came to the library. I'd love to see
We
that.
had done
They
that in the
haven't done
past.
that since I've been here, so I don't know what the plans are.
We should put the
Yes.
invite out.
Right.
Yeah.
We should just put the invite out and say, come have a meeting
Come
with
have
us.
a meeting at the library.
Yeah.
Yep.
That has been done in the past. It's not actually anything they're not, haven't, I think most of them have been on for a number of years and would have already had that experience, so it should be old news. I'm sorry, just interrupted you. We're going on about the budget, I think.
Yeah, so we're in good shape as far as, our regular expenditures, and then fingers crossed for the town meeting, basically.
We didn't get anything yet from Greater Worcester.
Yes, actually, we received that check today. I was gonna do that when we get to the consideration of funds
Okay,
Um,
all right.
from them. But yes, we just, in very convenient timing, got the check in the mail this morning. Facility report, things are good. I think we've got the alarm system cooperating again. The sensor in the storage room was being hyperactive, and they've, I think, calmed it down. Because we haven't had an issue in the past couple weeks, so
Yeah.
I think that's good. You may remember we had the leak in the local history room, and they sort of jury-rigged a solution until they could get the actual part in. That part came in a couple weeks ago, so that's been replaced. Yay. Everything's all functional again.
So that was a part
Was
of
a
the
part-
AC?
Yeah, so
Okay.
part of the HVAC system that the valve system, or the valve piece started to leak, and we had pieces of the local history ceiling was on the floor. This is a couple months ago now. And they finally got the part in and came and installed it. And nobody fell through the ceiling in spite of the noise, which a couple of times I had to go check because the thumps were a little loud.
Have we had to switch over from summer to winter? and-
No, we're not, no, we
That's
haven't.
not
Yeah,
yet.
we're right,
'Cause
we're
that
right
usually,
on the edge.
that usually might be a little fun.
I don't know, last couple of times it's gone really smoothly, so,
Don't jinx ourselves.
but it's,
Yes.
it's, we're right at the point right now where either one we're at, the system is gonna keep turning off and turning on again, so
Okay.
kinda, and then, I've been talking to Bill, the town planner. He's working on an ADA grant. We had an ADA compliance audit, basically, I don't know, it was during COVID, a year and a half ago maybe. And so the town is working on getting a grant to look at the report from the auditor and then figure out what can be fixed, because obviously not everything can, and then implement the fixes that can be made.
Yep.
So I've talked to Bill, we had a discussion about the library building, because some of the things were a little questionable. We have to have an accessible microwave in the staff break room. And I said, but we don't have anyone right now who would use it. If we had someone that needed an accessible microwave, certainly I would put one in there, but,
Do they have a microwave?
oh yeah, we have a
Oh, yeah.
I
microwave.
thought so.
Yeah.
Oh, I
But
thought
it's
so.
not accessible to someone in a
For-
wheelchair.
Okay.
And I was like,
Oh, all
well,
right.
right now we don't have anyone who needs it. So if someone needed it, we would obviously put
Change
one
it.
in.
Right.
But, so I guess that's part of, like, we had the audit went through and was like every tiny, this is an inch off, and this is what, all of that was done. Oh, the grab bars in one of our bathrooms are an inch too high.
Wow.
Like, that's the level of detail. So Bill is working on the grant to have someone come in and be like, yes, this has to be fixed, and okay, this, you need to make a best effort, and so on. And I did talk to him about including the buttons to open the doors.
Yep.
Was
as
that
part
on the
of-
list?
No,
Oh.
no, we meet that because it's open for long enough for, it's, I don't know, I guess it's a formula for how far the button is from the door and how long the door stays open and
Makes
all of
sense.
that. And so we meet that, but I said, if we're gonna have somebody come in and look at stuff,
Yeah,
You know.
it's, makes
It's-
common
So-
sense.
Kind of surprising, the building isn't that old. I wonder if some of these rules and regulations haven't
Have they
changed.
changed? Because you would think, I don't know, maybe you would remember, did they do an ADA when the building was
I'm sure
initially
they
built?
had
Well, the
to.
architect-
I
like, the
honestly don't
architect
remember,
has
they must
to.
have.
I
Yeah.
would think they did, yeah.
but I mean, things like we have signage that's on the braille signage on the wrong side of a door.
Oh, wow.
So
You have to be inside to.
I don't know, but so, some stuff is fairly easy to fix.
Yep.
One of the things on our list is moving the book drop because it's like 4 inches too high. And
Ooh,
the,
that's gonna be tough.
well, the
That's
estimate was,
structural.
it'll cost like $300 to do that. And I was like,
You know,
No.
It'll be,
I don't
it'll
think
be
so.
ugly as sin if they do that.
It will,
well,
yeah.
and it's wired in. It's not just a
Yeah.
slot in the wall. And so anyhow,
Wow.
so Bill and I have had some discussions about this, and I'm guessing the timeline is probably a year out, knowing how long it takes federal grants to come through.
Right.
But he's working on it, and I've talked to him about it, so
Good.
that's where we are with that.
Yeah, that would be structural.
Yeah, I was like, no, it's not just a slot in like a door. It's,
Right, right.
It's a bigger issue than
And you would
this.
think when the building was built that it was,
ADA
especially something
compliant.
like that, was ADA
Right.
compliant.
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure it was.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
has to have been.
But
It
what's
was-
changed and what,
Yeah.
I don't.
And the unfortunate thing is I suspect that these things are in a constant state of evolution anyway, so you're always chasing that carrot.
Well, and then there's
never
the,
catching it.
one of the things that was brought up by the auditors was, well, there are no accessible computers for someone in a wheelchair in the teen room, and there should be computers within, I don't know, it's like 10 feet. And I said,
Aren't they
turn,
about-
turn around and
Yeah.
look behind you.
Yeah.
They're right outside the door. They're within the space,
Yep.
but they considered each room
Separate.
separately. So, I said to Bill, they're right there. And he went, yeah, I think we're, I think we're okay, But yeah, they really did go through and, like I said, our grab bars are an inch too
Common
high.
sense out the window.
All right, so that update us with
So-
facilities?
Yep.
You missed my
I
favorite.
have a question.
We have the little signs out there for
Oh, the little
owners to
signs
curb
that
their
say,
dogs.
please clean up after your dogs.
Right.
Yes,
I did see them.
I installed the signs. That was,
And Drusilla and I have had conversation, a couple of other things with regards to the building is, one is I believe the flagpole needs to be painted. And we've got a real weed problem out there. Some of these things are growing above the hedge line, if you take a look at the left side of the building. And whatever we had in terms of ground cover is now encroaching on the parking lot. So,
Yeah, we didn't have the United Day of Care in
Oh,
the
No.
last
yeah,
2 years,
yeah,
and that
yeah.
used to do it, because I would get a troop out there, and
Yeah.
so
we would go
Lita's,
nuts.
Lita's boys, as she calls them, she has a group of young men from the high school program. They're post high school essentially, but they're gaining job skills
Mhm.
and so on. That's on their list to
Oh,
do
good.
weeding. They were perfectly happy to do that.
But
Today they
So
were.
is Lita gonna have to go out with them to do it?
They actually have a supervisor who comes with them,
Oh,
and
okay.
so we like today.
a job coach of some sort.
They
Yeah.
moved.
Yeah.
They moved all of the boxes of books for the book sale today. That
Oh,
was
good.
their big project. But we tell the coach
Yep.
Bob. We tell Bob, hey, this is what we need, and he ensures,
Nice.
well,
He's there to oversee.
while keeping, making sure that they're doing as much independently as possible. He's also kind of there. So.
Hopefully send them a letter of thanks at some point in the process.
Yeah, we gave the boys. I don't know. Lita gave them something at the end of last
Is this
school year.
from Bay Path or Shepherd Hill? or-
Shepherd Hill.
Shepherd Hill, okay, good. Oh, that's
Great.
great. Now, hopefully they can.
We were known to
But they
feed
come-
people lunch from
They come,
maps.
they come weekly, and we
Okay.
have different different sorts of
So we got
things.
some of those items on their punch list. I don't
Yep.
know if they could do the flagpole, because you're gonna have to need some.
Yeah, no, I
Is
think
it a
that's a
painting
highway.
issue?
I'm sorry?
Is it a painting
The
issue?
painting issue, yeah.
Oh, the fire department does it.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'll have to call the fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
That one.
It might be a good, especially, if you look at the grass situation too, this might be, if we're gonna do something, this time of year would be, we need to grab the moment as
No,
opposed to
I'm sure
letting
they'll
it
come
slip
down.
anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the outdoor sign?
Yeah, that was on my
That was
list.
the end of September.
It is still in works somewhere. I talked to Joel last week, and they're now saying end of October.
Well, you know what? We're on the better end of it now. I mean, we've been waiting for
We're
a
getting
long
closer.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
We are at the we just need to wait a little
Oh,
longer.
just don't jinx us.
But they're
It's been a while.
It's in
The
process. We've
components
gotten the
that make up
email
sign
with
were
the
unavailable, so they could
links
do
to
it
the
cheaply,
control
that wouldn't
software and
last, or you
everything.
could
So
do it
we've
right
gotten
and
that
you'd
far.
have to wait, so we decided to
Oh,
wait.
so we're waiting.
You know, and the training how to program your new
Mhm.
sign. So I'm like, all right, we're getting there.
We had
We've got
expected them by
some
August or
information.
September, so it's a little
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to be continued. One of the things I did notice is there, I thought there was some bylaw or ordinance or something restricting or eliminating smoking within a certain distance of public buildings. I may be wrong on that, but somebody's decided to drop a lot of cigarette butts in front of the building. I know it's convenient because they sit at the bench and I'm sure they just let them fall where they may, but the trash receptacle's right there and apparently not making any effort to do that.
Ooh, I wouldn't want them to throw it in the trash receptacle.
Well, probably not, but
Fires.
I wouldn't want them to be there at all,
I know,
frankly.
Right.
I know. I don't know what the guideline is.
I'll check with.
I know
the-
schools are no smoking
Right.
zones.
I thought this
I think
building
all
had one.
public, I think you might be right. I think it's all
But I think
public buildings.
it
grounds.
often varies town to town. I
Yeah, but
think.
for some reason,
So
I
I'll
think you
check.
might be right for Dudley.
Why don't we check that? and
Yep.
see,
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we could put another sign out next to the dog sign and maybe they could do a lot of
Lots
reading
of
before they
signs.
get into the library.
Right.
I mean, it's, to have a sign, I understand, it's enforcing it.
It's true.
That's what it comes down to.
Oh,
and-
believe me, speed limits, and, no, don't get me going on that
Is
one.
is there a receptacle for cigarette butts, like
No.
those little sand things, like a little?
No, 'cause I think the
hole
That'll
point is
encourage it,
That you're not
especially if we're.
supposed to be smoking
Yeah.
near the
Right.
building.
Well, I'm just
so-
concerned if they're gonna put their butt into the mulch and we're gonna have a fire or something, you know?
Well, their aim is either really bad or they're just not doing that because it's just accumulating.
But as you say, if we have the sign,
Right.
that at least gives us, they can't play dumb. It's right
And
there.
it could be somebody that comes in the evening when we're
Walk their
closed,
dog.
sits there quietly and enjoys the place for a pack and a half of cigarettes.
Well,
But yeah, but no, if we could put signage,
Yeah.
that would be a good idea.
so, again, pending that, some hope maybe in that direction.
Gosh.
All right, did we complete then
just-
facilities
I just-
report? Any further questions on facilities?
I think we're good.
All right. We have our bylaw amendment, and this is the
Second
next
reading.
agenda item. And I came to a very interesting discovery along the way. My bylaw dates back to 2017. And I understand in talking to Drusilla, there have been some revisions since then. So I'm not sure what is the
Is this
current
the one you
bylaw.
just gave me? Yes, this is the one you just gave me, Kathy.
Yes.
That, which
That's the
date on this
newest
one?
one.
This is the newest one?
2021.
All right, I don't see a date on here. Okay, well, it is October 26, 2021? Okay. I don't think the issue we had with regards to the secretary's duties changed in this 2021 version. So that part of what we were discussing can, I believe, go forward with going, and I assume the amendment process is still the same. That's quite an assumption on my part. That quorum majority, and the regular scheduled meeting with quorum present majority. Second proceeding, okay, so this will be our second meeting, so I think we're legal as far as that
But
goes.
none of us have received a copy of that to review.
So,
That's
but we can do
good.
one amendment at a time. We
Right.
can finish this one, but we should all get copies of that and look at it.
Excellent point.
Yeah.
From last year. What's that? We
I know, but-
copies of it in our.
Well, this,
Well,
again,
not
this one is
everybody-
dated October 26, 2021, so hopefully whatever copies
Yeah.
people have, this would be the current, and this would be what we're acting on, so. Again, the issue that we had was regards to amending or changing the secretary's responsibilities with regards to adding the word "or designee." I believe was a simple solution.
Yeah.
So I believe we can go forward with that, but we need a
Yeah.
vote.
I think we have to have a second reading
Second
tonight.
reading of it.
And I think you should just read it, and so we've all had it, and it's in the minutes that we've had the second reading, and then at our
We'll
next
get to a
meeting, we
copy.
can actually vote on it, I do believe.
Okay, so then, further ado, let me read Article 2 of our bylaws, Section 2.3. The secretary is required to post all meetings and agendas and ad hoc committee meetings and agendas in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law and to provide a copy of the approved minutes to the town clerk. So our change was the secretary or designee is required to. And since Drusilla has the magic in terms of the system or the software or the programming, we were going to indicate her as the designee in
Now
this
that I
case.
can put stuff on the website
Yeah,
myself.
which you can. Because otherwise, we're in a situation where a secretary may change annually, and we've got to retrain somebody and go through that process, which could be burdensome, to say the least. Did anyone have discussion in terms of?
We should say library director will be.
No,
No,
designee.
Designee.
Just, oh,
Just
okay. I thought you were
designate,
saying-
not all that verbiage,
Right, I
sorry,
see.
dear.
Yeah,
Not all that stuff, just the word.
Yeah,
designate.
secretary
Just leaving
or
us,
I was just
it's
making
open-
my notes that you're saying Drusilla be, I'm like, wait a
Or
minute.
Well,
designate.
using her name as a point of
I
reference,
am
but
currently the designee.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're just giving ourselves as much latitude as we might need going forward.
Yeah.
Anybody could be the designee. Any volunteers? No. All right, so having read that, any discussion or questions in regards to that change in wording? And then, does someone care to make a motion?
I don't think we have to. I
We
think
don't
we
have
just
to?
have the
That's
second
it?
reading in the
Read it.
minutes.
Yep.
And then we can, I do believe, I'll borrow that while you talk.
No,
we
go
don't
ahead.
have to
Next, I think next
Alrighty.
month we can vote on it.
So next meeting, we'll vote on that.
No, we
No, we
read
can do
it the
it
first
now.
time. I think we're so good
Yeah,
this
it's the
time.
second
This-
meeting.
This should do it.
We only have to have one reading.
We're checking.
But I would think.
Yes, so now we can, you're right. I thought we had to have
Roll call
two
vote.
and then a vote.
No,
We
I
only
think
needed
it's-
one, and
One
now we
reading
can
and a
vote
vote.
tonight. You are
So-
correct.
All right.
So I will make a motion that we accept the, give me the number, please.
The change to Article 2, Section 2.3.
You get that?
Yeah.
Okay, to add the word "or
Or
designee."
designee. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Unanimous. Cool, excellent, done.
Moving along. And I think maybe if we have an opportunity to go through the October 21st, 2021 version of the bylaws, might enlighten me a bit, because I'm at least 4 years behind the times. We can see if there's other things that we need to.
I'll make the change and send
Right.
an updated copy out
Oh,
to
even
everybody.
better. We'll
That'd be
have
even better.
The more,
And then send
So
it
we
to us.
reviewed in 2021.
Yeah, the new.
So then we don't need to do it for 3 years.
But the changes were
Unless we-
updated in.
unless
just
we choose
2021.
to do so.
Yeah.
We could make amendments or changes anytime.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But I'm just saying, we typically are
And-
supposed to review.
Right,
every
and
Yep.
frankly, we have a new member, a new set of eyes, so
Nice
maybe
for
you
Exactly.
you catch something that has been in there for a long time, and we need to maybe take a second glance to. Thank you.
And hopefully it's not too obvious that we all missed it.
Please, don't embarrass us too much, or too often for that matter. Next on the agenda, workshop/training reimbursement procedure. I spoke with Mr. Ruda, and in talking to him, there is a policy, or there's a procedure that is in place for all departments, and apparently we have deviated from that somewhat, where there is a credit card that Michelle has custody of, and the number is available to those who need it.
Perfect.
And that would cover the cost of any upcoming workshops or
Yep.
training.
Yep.
And the solution is, if someone, and I think Joyce may have alluded to this in the past, if someone did not participate, the solution, according to Mr. Ruder, is their pay would be docked accordingly,
So if they don't attend, their pay will be docked.
or there would be
To cut
adjustment.
the
Docked
adjustment.
sounds strong, but an adjustment would be
Well,
made, yeah.
Same thing.
Try that
With no, somebody gets sick or a car accident or
Well,
whatever,
the
I
thing
mean,
with-
there must be
the
some leeway
thing with the
here.
library is, which we don't, we're a little different than some of the other departments that only have like one or two people. The library would be the town has paid for this, so say I can't go, but I don't know,
You can send
Courtney
somebody else.
can,
Okay, you
Courtney
can
can
send
go
somebody
in my
else.
place.
Cool,
Yeah.
all right, good. I just,
Yeah.
And
something happens, something happens.
So we called you and you can go.
Yeah.
Done.
So
Well, we shouldn't be for paying for that. Things do happen, but that's not my feeling is that can happen, but you need to provide that you attended and documentation, and
Yeah.
then you're
Some
covered.
of these may provide cancellation options
Yeah.
or
That's true,
opportunities.
too.
So if someone had a problem and they
Right.
foresaw, there was gonna be an issue, they could cancel it
Right.
in time at a timely manner.
Yeah.
I will
But
add.
being able to send somebody else is
That's
Right.
perfect,
That's
yeah,
another
that's
option.
perfect, yeah.
We'll add, at the selectmen's meeting last evening, there was a lady who presented, I forget the name of the firm she was from. I believe she was an attorney, and she presented a number of issues that the town should look to
HR.
addressing with regards to HR. So there may be a revision to some of the policies that are in place, or we believe to be in place today. So
Yep.
that's kind of open-ended. The selectmen took that under advisement, and
Yep.
Good.
things may or may not happen accordingly. Okay, so, moving on, if I may. The Crawford Corner status. And if you may recall, we had referred this to the town engineer, Graves Engineering.
Yes,
And we're
and I
waiting.
have an email from Jeff. He sent it to me at 3:28 PM.
Well,
Just
another
made it. As requested, I looked over the Crawford Corner plans relative to potential engineering issues. I have no issues with the engineering. I do have one comment that pertains to compliance with the Massachusetts Architectural Access Board Regulations 521 CMR 22.2.
Got it?
No, and don't care either.
We all are intimately, aware
An
of what this is.
accessible walkway shall not be less than 48 inches wide, excluding curbstones. There's an allowance for the walkway to be reduced at obstructions like trees and fire hydrants and light poles. A small portion of the walkway at the accessible parking space and access aisle needs to be 4 feet wide, excluding the curbstone. The plan shows this walkway to be 4 feet wide, including the curbstone. And he sent me a helpful marked up sheet to pass on.
Add 4 inches.
All right.
Yeah, basically, but he sent me the sheet to pass on to if anyone wants to look at the stunning drawing that he marked up. But so that I can send that on to Studio MLA, that it's
Would
a
you
4-inch adjustment.
And that
It's
should
not-
Well-
make no difference with
And
what's
then-
left for the past.
No. And then relative to the compact parking spaces, because I did
Oh,
ask you
yes,
about those
good.
particularly. You will find they function more as standard size parking spaces than compact spaces. The compact spaces proposed are 9 feet wide by 18 feet long. Many communities' standard parking spaces call for 9 feet wide by 19 feet long, so it's only a foot shorter. Dudley's zoning bylaw requires 9 feet wide by 20 feet long for regular spaces.
Okay.
Compact spaces are normally 16 to 17 feet. So we are actually over compact parking space
Cool.
size. So there is no issue relative to the parking space size. I just want to point out that they are not as small as one might think, given that they are designated as compact.
Okay.
So they're actually,
Interesting, yeah.
they're actually much closer to standard parking spaces
Mm-hmm. So we
than,
have no issue with parking.
that, the only thing he found was that
curb.
curb, and he
Just
called
that
me to
one.
make sure I got
Oranges,
the email and was
keep.
like,
Excellent.
I see nothing. He's
Okay.
like, the grading looks fine, that everything looks fine, it's just, it's that
But
4 inches.
We be mindful, if you will, that 4 inches may not sound like a lot, but what you're going through with the ADA compliance
I was gonna
thing,
say,
that would have been an issue at some point down the road for those folks. I'm sure they'd be out there with their
Yes,
tape
well,
measures.
that's why, he caught
Do
it,
it
which
now.
is good.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
but that's, so the only, like I said, the only issue he found was that.
So would you communicate back
Yep.
to the folks involved?
Planning
and
to
they
do that
can
tomorrow.
Make their change to
Of course, that's
that?
gonna be a lot more money for the concrete, I'm sure.
Extra 4 inch, yeah.
She'll be like, oh, that puts you to $2 million now.
Whoa, please, don't give anyone
But
ideas.
With the board's permission, once the landscape architects have made that 4-inch change, I will then ask John Ruda to give me the pieces that with the official language that we need to put together a bid packet
Put it out to bid.
Put it out
Yeah,
to bid.
because he's got to give me those, and he knows that we're waiting on
Right.
this before he can give me all the official
Do we want to make
legal
a motion
technicality.
that?
I think we should, yeah.
Yes.
This is
I
a
make
significant
motion that
issue.
once MLA has made the appropriate changes, that a bid package is created under the town administrator's,
Guidance.
Review.
what is it?
Guidance,
Guidance,
purview,
yes. That the bid is put together and put out to bid.
Motion and
Second.
second. Any
Who
discussion?
seconded, was that it?
Ben.
No.
Oh,
Ben,
Ben, sorry.
yeah.
See, I think,
They sound like one. but
Second.
it's Ben. So motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. It's good to see this moving forward, and we'll see what some real numbers start to look like. when we
I
get
think
the-
we need help on the wording of how you said it. Once
I make a motion that once MLA returns the corrected
Yeah,
blueprint?
yeah.
would we say?
Plans, I don't know what
they
are.
Plans, that under the town administrator's guidance, that
Okay.
the bids will be created. Drusilla will put that together, and the bid, it will go out to bid.
Okay, thanks.
He actually does it. It's not his
He
guidance to
actually,
you.
what he does
it.
is what he's done with other things has been like, here's what I need it to include. It's your
Right.
project, you know what
Okay,
the
so it
language
is
needs to
guidance.
be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is guidance,
That's,
yeah.
that's what he did like when we were looking for the landscape architect. He's like,
Okay.
it's your project, you know what the important stuff
Right.
is, but here's the legal stuff you have to include.
Okay.
There are certain boilerplate items that have to be
Yeah, and
addressed
it's,
in
you know,
terms of
you've got to have
legality,
the
so-
assorted forms and conflict of interest and whatever else is in there, so.
It'll end up a pretty lengthy,
Well, according
Oh, yeah.
to Jeff Walsh, the town engineer, the packet that was in the electronic file that MLA sent that has all of the specs, like this plant goes here and this much soil, was like 400 pages long. So it's not going to make it a great deal longer, I don't think.
well, that's going to be interesting. Well,
His comment was they were very thorough, which
Okay.
is good. You want to be able to be like, no, this says
Right.
what it's supposed to be.
Okay,
So,
very good. Moving forward on that one. Now, we had consideration of funds due from Greater Worcester Community Foundation, and you said the check
the check
arrived. Check in the mail.
arrived today. The total sum is $23,250 even. And I know I chatted with Ben, we chatted a little bit earlier about this. We spent about $15,000 last year on programming and supplies for programs and that sort of stuff. And that was without Pearl Jam, which adds more expense to programs. So my request would be that 15,000 of this would be earmarked for programming so that we continue to offer the programming that we have.
Isn't that already in the budget?
What,
The
the,
Programming?
15,000 for programming?
no, because that's in a separate thing.
Oh.
The board has always, because we've always requested a specific amount before, like last year, we
Yep.
requested 15,000, and when we put in the request to Greater Worcester Community Foundation, it said for programming. But in this case, we didn't request, they just went, here's your
Sent the
money.
check.
Then they'll send
Right.
it.
Actually, what I see in your budget is zeros in terms of.
Yeah, we
programs.
don't have a town line item for programming.
There's a account number, but there's nothing there.
Yeah, that's the town's, they were giving us $100, so the zero is not an enormous sacrifice.
And how much overall did you spend? Because some comes from the
The
Friends.
Friends, then we have grant
Yeah.
programming.
So, I mean, you'd spend
think
more than
I fig-
15,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I figured out, where did I do my math? That we were at like 21,000 overall for programming, and that includes like the things that the Dudley Cultural Council does, which some of our exhibits that we put on in the Fells Room, the Cultural Council sponsors. And the Friends do quite a number of things as well.
And have we done any with Mauser this past year? Mauser grants?
The Mauser Trust gave us the 15,000 for the story walk this
Okay.
past year.
Okay.
So
No programming.
but I'm
We
playing
hit them
phone.
for something else,
I'm
yeah.
playing phone tag with the one of the members of the board at Mauser Trust because he wants to talk about grant possibilities.
Cool.
At the last meeting, I asked if we could put together a plan to come up with an opening on Saturdays year-round. That might impact the programming budget, perhaps, potentially. I don't know
Yeah.
how much that would be. And hopefully, you could maybe present that or give us some thought of what that would look like maybe at the next meeting.
Well, I mean, it would depend on, if we're opening in the summer, then a lot of the stuff that we have been doing on weekdays, we could move to weekends. Because we've had we've had multiple programs a day during summer reading, and if we moved some of those over to the Saturday, so I don't think it would increase expenses exorbitantly. We'd just space out some of what we do. So we weren't doing, 2 programs a day, and invariably everybody comes to the morning one or the afternoon one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
May I say something about that?
Sure.
I think this is one of the reasons why I decided to join this board. Me as a working mom, not necessarily young or old, it doesn't really matter. As a working person, I found that there weren't too many opportunities for me to bring my child to story time. Story time is always at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. The only thing that we could access basically in the month of August when I had the month off was the knitting group. It was like a whole month where you couldn't do anything with small children or young children. So if we could do something either at the end of the workday, like after 4:30, or on the weekends, that would be great, because not necessarily just for moms, like dads too. Like sometimes dads bring the child to the library and the mom can run some errands or do something else.
Or go to soccer or whatever.
Yes, and I think this summer, like I kept looking at our programs, and then I ended up always going to Charlton or Oxford or Webster, and like I really, really want to come to this town, and all my neighbors or the moms that I talk with, they were saying the exact same thing. Like I would like to be able to go to my town, to my library after work or on the weekend.
I mean, we do, I'll talk to Lita about that, but I know we've done programs on Monday nights, which is traditionally when we do
Well, I
children's
think
programs.
the thought is to have more of.
Yeah, but I mean, we've done it, and, the last time we had a program, we had a magician come on a Monday night, and we had like 6 people show up.
Right.
Well, if we can market
But I think
it more extensively ahead of time.
if we start offering things more often, like, because sometimes
People
it's like a hit or miss thing, they're like, oh, I missed it, it was, and then we don't have anything again on a Monday night for that age group, then you're not looking for it.
Yeah.
And is it sometimes in the middle of a middle time, not evening, not afternoon, just almost like dinner hour?
Yeah.
But parents will come at that hour? Do you go to these
No.
other towns?
No.
When you say,
But would it need to be after
What's your
5
timing?
for working people?
So anytime between, let's say, 3:30 and 5 would be okay, because dinner time is usually at 6:30 or 7.
Okay.
So most people who live in the town, they live pretty like close by. And generally, I feel like in these times, in most households, both parents work. It's not like
it's true.
anyone can make it to a story time at 10:30 because you need 2 incomes. So everyone's out working, and then when you finish work, you don't have any. We would want some free opportunities for our children.
Good. No, we just,
like-
that's why we want your voice. We want your voice.
And, I think we get a little too hung up on the numbers. Only 6 people showed up. I don't think that's the point. I think
But
the
I mean,
point is to have the availability. If
So
it's 6, 8, or 600, you want the option. You want
But
people
so
to have the
you'll see on
opportunity, if you
the
will.
calendar going forward, Lego Club is now at 4 o'clock on Monday, and that's for littles. That's not like for 15-year-olds, that's for the little ones. There's a family game night happening one Monday a month, and that's like come and play games as a family, kind of with your kids. So
Well, I
she's
think
trying
part-
to add some more things, but I'll talk
Right.
to her about the possibility.
Cool.
Okay, I think we're almost jumping into
Yeah.
one of the next items on the agenda, but programming certainly is a major part of what we're looking to do. And again, I'm going to reiterate this, because I tend to repeat myself quite often, is I don't think we need to be hung up so much on the numbers. I mean, the turtles got a heck of a response. I think the possums probably did as well.
Animals always
Right,
do.
they always do.
do,
But
yeah.
the other things, you want to have some balance, some variety of things, and you're not going to hit a home run on everything.
And not to downplay, I think Lita and Drusilla do a great job getting programming. I personally would like to see some different programming. I feel like we make slime a lot.
But I mean,
And
the
that's
kids,
really great, but
Yeah.
I'd like
Okay.
something different.
The kids,
Yeah.
you know, the monthly slime, the kids love
like
the
it,
slime,
yeah.
and it's, you know, so we
But
offer
I just
it.
think that we need to change it up a little bit. Maybe every other month we do slime and we do something different.
What else is there? I can make some suggestions.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
love
sure, go
suggestions.
Okay, so
Yes.
this summer I went with my son. We went to Charlton because there was a yoga day, like mommy and kid yoga day, and kids loved it.
Yeah.
I think we need more, even if it's not necessarily a program, like more hands-on materials, like something interactive. Where not necessarily to have someone come and read or do anything, just hands-on materials for kids to play who are not able to read yet. So between 0 and 4, I feel like we missed this
Do you
window
mean
of
like
opportunity.
craft programs?
It doesn't have to be a craft as in someone comes in and they show us how to do something, but more.
Well, no, 'cause most
I don't
of
want
our
to call them
craft
toys.
programs-
Yeah, manipulative,
manipulatives?
like the Montessori type of.
Yeah, see, that's
toy
why we have a lot of
activities.
stuff like that out in the children's room just for like free play for the
Like little
littles.
sensory boxes and that.
Oh, there's all
kind
kinds of, yeah, you know,
But
and
I
the
think
Rita
we're
swaps
looking at
the
something
toys
that's
out.
somewhat, you say free play, but I think what Adriana's looking at is something that's a little more structured than that, if you will. So let's keep that thought in mind and see what's out there and available.
Yeah, like I said,
It
I'll
might
talk to
take us in
Rita.
different directions than we've
Yeah.
been in the past.
Yeah.
And I agree
And-
with you. Sometimes, you know, even if you do it once or twice or 3 times, it takes a while for us to hear about it. You know,
Yeah.
like it takes a while. Because sometimes you're not on Facebook,
Right.
and you just hear from someone who heard from someone who heard from someone else, and you're too late. So like if this happens for like let's say 3 or 4 months and it's not working, that's different. But like if you only do it once, like oh we only had 5 people,
Right.
then that's not really,
We
you know.
need to market it.
Yeah, I would like, promote
Okay.
more.
Thank you very much. You know,
My
I don't think
pleasure.
any of us would have brought those thoughts to the table, and
Yeah.
appreciate that. And I think we mentioned earlier on, I'm entirely in favor of, you know, not reinventing the wheel, stealing good ideas from somebody else.
definitely.
Let's go for them, you know,
Yeah.
we'll buy them all, or
Yep.
steal them all, if you will. All righty.
We're
So we
libraries,
kind
we
of,
borrow.
I'm sorry?
We're libraries, we borrow.
Oh! And we don't return them. No fines. No fines. No fines. So we'll borrow on Friday, we'll return them on Friday, we'll not be fines. Okay, so, all right, so we kind of mix things up a little bit here in terms of, but good discussion.
Yes.
We started with the question in terms of the funding, and I think the number was 15,000,
Yep.
which we've had in the past. Did we want to make a motion, someone to move forward with that?
Before you do that, just do you have suggestions for the other 8?
I did
23
actually.
versus-
Oh, okay.
The love seats and the comfy furniture in the children's department
Right.
get a lot of wear and tear, and they're starting to be on their last legs. And my thought was to replace that furniture, you know, in the area where a lot of people hang out and the kids sit with mom while they read stories and so on, to replace some of those before they fall apart completely.
I've been there, I've seen it, I agree, and certainly it's,
I kind of feel
the
that.
time has come.
I think the furniture probably should be replaced before the carpeting.
Well, ideally, we do
Right.
both, you know, if we can
Great
get
if
both,
the
but we
tower
take them one at a
funded the
time.
other
It
part.
looks like we have opportunity for the furniture.
I would guess I'd like to see a cost on the furniture,
Okay.
because it just
I
seems
can
like
talk
the
to
cost
Tucker.
on municipal things, I mean, how much do we pay for chairs? Like,
They're expensive.
to me, it's exorbitant.
Yeah,
And
you know,
again-
the thing is like with the love seats in the children's department, they're not like the ones you buy at, I don't know, Bassett or whatever the other furniture. They're the reinforced frame and
No, I
everything,
know.
which is
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
need.
But it's just, it's crazy.
And my question was, is it makes sense to reupholster if the frame and everything is good? Because that's what we
It's an option.
bought, good furniture.
Yeah, it's an option.
But
Yeah,
I
some
don't
of
know.
them, there's at
Cost
least one
of-
of them that I'm a little worried about the frame. It's at the stage where if you
Starting to
sit on
move.
it too hard, you
no,
can see it
that's,
kind
you
of
don't
wiggle
want
a
that,
little.
yeah.
All right, so I guess the issue is, what are the options? One of them, perhaps replacement,
Yep.
and what numbers that looks like, and then maybe, I don't know if there's, who's doing reupholstering in the area, but I'm sure there's someone out there, if we could get some
Probably
thought as to what the comparative numbers are there.
Yeah, I can talk to the least expensive option would be the state prison system.
Okay.
They have a
Is that an
Sheriff's?
option? Do they reimpost?
I believe they do.
Oh.
The ones in
Because we had
Connecticut
that
and Rhode
book.
Island do, so I probably shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming that.
All right. Well, the
I know they
sheriff has an
build-
office here in
They
Webster.
build
so we
like
can-
tables and whatnot,
Sure,
so.
no, that's a good idea. It's a good thought. A little social benefit is
Yeah,
in the mix.
I'll ask MLS for the
All right.
contact info.
Okay, so we've accounted for the 23,000 approximately?
Yes, okay, yes.
All right. So did we want to address the 15 individually then?
Do we
Well, I
need a
think-
vote? I don't think we need a,
Well,
we
she
can move
asked, so I
forward.
think
Yeah,
we should
can have a
motion
vote.
at least the 15 and
Yeah.
hold
The-
for
Full
the other
figure.
until we have more information.
I will make a motion that 15,000 of the check we received from Greater Worcester Community Foundation be put towards programming for what period of time?
The year?
Until September 2023?
Yeah, I was going to say, because
It's
their
a
year and our
weird-
year are different years.
Their year and
So-
our years are different.
Yeah,
I
so,
don't know
yeah,
why it's
okay.
September, but
Okay, for a year from now,
For 1 year.
for 1 year
1 year.
from now, okay, just because,
Okay, motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
I,
Aye, and it's unanimous. Thank you. Don't need to ask for any opposed. All right, so we kind of crossed up a little bit on the programming issue, but we did have outreach opportunities, and I think maybe you brought some of those thoughts to the table as well. Did anyone have any further thoughts regards to any outreach opportunities that we
Yes.
might want to explore? Okay.
I contacted Tri-Valley, and I contacted some senior centers, like in the area, and just kind of picked their brain.
Okay.
Tri-Valley did respond, and a senior center did respond to me when I asked, what are the needs, what type of programming would, bring patrons back to the library, COVID's over. Tri-Valley said they would definitely help us. They could bring someone in as a speaker. They were willing to help us with that, and they talked about a program called Aging Solo, Unique Considerations for a Growing Segment of the Population, and it's sponsored by Right at Home, but I didn't get there was no price, of
I
how
can
much
talk to
that would
Lisa.
be.
She's in the library all the time.
I think if it's sponsored by, is it paid for by them? Maybe it's a free program.
I don't
Yeah, well, like I
know.
said, I'll talk to Lisa. She's in the
Who's
library all the
Lisa?
time. She's the
She's the
executive
head.
director of Tri-Valley.
Oh, well, I have a contact person that I dealt with, that's why.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
Lisa
Okay.
is in and out of the library all the time, so.
Okay.
Okay.
But she definitely said she could arrange for a guest speaker, a topic of program, she can coordinate something with us. And then I had a really interesting feedback from some of the senior centers saying that the need for the seniors is typically filling out forms when it comes to fuel assistance, or filling out for the new Real ID, or it's like forms and stuff like that. And I really wonder, it might be too late this year for us to do something like this, but I'm thinking next year, the possibility of us creating and having like a small vendor fair at the library, and having somebody from the RMV come and be there for a couple of hours to assist with filling out forms. Somebody from fuel assistance to come and assist seniors with filling out forms, and what do they need for documentation? Maybe they have an appointment. What do they need to bring to that appointment? Somebody to verify, yes, that's accurate documentation. And other things like that, like having Tri-Valley there, you know what I mean? Having some
Right,
things
okay.
there to bring them in. I mean, have it on a Saturday, because a lot of the senior population will require somebody to assist bringing them even.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah, the Worcester
suspect
Community
that,
Action Council would do the fuel assistance.
Yeah,
They
right,
would be able
yeah.
to come and speak.
I would think that maybe somebody like a Reliant, for example, would have people that they would make available that could come in and, obviously, they make something of a sales pitch along with wearing their Reliant badge or whatever uniform they come in. But to
Reliant
address,
in regards to what?
well, to come in and some of the
Healthcare
forms,
place.
or some of the kinds of things that people need to be
Yep.
aware of.
Healthcare proxies, that kind
And
of
we
thing.
do have, I'm trying to think back in terms of what I've seen in terms of numbers, but we do have an aging population in Dudley, too.
Yes,
I mean,
well, I'm thinking trying to target,
exception aside, yeah. But we do have an aging population, and some of these things, I think the person that puts them together thinks this is pretty easy and it's very
Oh.
intuitive, but when you get into it, it's
Right.
not quite that way. And there was somebody that could be made available, and I think some of these agencies or groups have that as maybe a freebie or low cost. I don't think that there's a
I
great.
just thought maybe, in the future, like
In the
maybe
future,
we
well,
could do it next
freebie.
year, have some type of vendor and have a representative from these different agencies available.
Well, this is an
In the-
election
in
year.
the-
If you could get the ear of a politician, you might be able to get somebody more
I
easily
think
than
it's
usual.
too late this year.
Yeah,
Well, I like the
Something
fuel
together.
assistance, frankly, I like the
And
fuel
while
assistance.
we're-
If I may, Drusilla, because from what I've seen, our friends at National Grid are going to be into our wallets like never before in a very short time.
And even have a National Grid come and talk about Mass Save,
Yes,
having that audit, like what does it consist of? What are you eligible for?
or to present something
Make
on
it- make an
solar
appointment.
options
Yeah,
or
make an
opportunities or
appointment.
something like that. And I know they've got folks that do that kind of
Yeah.
thing, because they bother me on the phone constantly. So I'm sure you could get somebody that would make have a moment of time that they could spend or spare with us.
Yeah, once we have a new director of the senior center, I can reach out to whoever that
Oh,
person is.
Margaret's leaving?
She's left.
Oh, she's
She left in August, yes.
Oh.
Um,
I'm catching up.
So that's
So-
just something that came up and I thought, geez, that's
Right.
something to
I'm
think
going to
about.
stay with that thought just a
Yeah.
little longer, if I may. We've got the winter months ahead of us, and I know we missed the opportunity to present ourselves as a cooling center during those 90-degree days, but I think we might want to try to market ourselves, if you will, as a warming station, because people are going to feel it this year like they've never felt it before. And if we get some really cold weather, and I don't know what climate change has in store for us, but this could be a year in which the effect on people is going to be really dramatic. And nothing warmer than cuddling up with a book and on a new piece of furniture.
Right.
And also, we could become a center for the filling out tax forms once the new year comes. Because they do have
Oh,
those
that's
volunteers that
something
are
too,
at different places.
Yeah,
Because I've
we-
known different people who have actually done it.
We talked to them, I
Yeah.
talked to them this past year, and they were short volunteers this year, so we're unable, because they have to have enough volunteers
Right.
for, they have to have a certain number to add a location.
That might have been COVID-related, now that we're breaking
But
out
yeah,
of that
no,
a
so
little bit.
I've talked to them,
numbers
but
might
it's
change.
on my radar to reach out again. I mean, obviously not now, because they don't know how many volunteers they have yet.
Right.
Nichols College has accounting club that volunteers at senior centers.
There you go.
Well, now that,
So-
see that.
Excellent. I'm
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah, I just think that
I
it
know
would be
a lot
a
of
And
waste
the new
to-
president
to
would want to do
offer.
that in the
They would
best
love
way. He would love to
the
do that.
publicity,
I
right.
could, yeah. I'd
Yeah.
have
I
a
mean,
little
I
chit-chat
I
with
see
him already.
front page of the Webster Times right
Yep.
now. And I'm not much of a visionary, but I can.
Hey, we were on the
see that.
front page of the Webster Times last week.
Well, we want to be there every week if we can.
And then we were
Above the fold, no
Then we
less.
were inside the Webster Times talking about how we had things besides Boosk.
Right, well, we thank them for the publicity, we'll,
We had, say that again?
Boosk,
Boosk.
not books.
Books.
Boosk.
Oh, I'm like,
That's-
I didn't understand.
They
that.
also still cannot spell my name right, but that's a whole
proof-
nother issue.
proofreading is a lost art, so
I was
we'll
like,
we'll go forward with
What,
what.
wait, we have what?
But I love that.
Kathy, yeah.
That's
And that's
great.
not just taxes. We could talk to him about,
Anything.
what else do you want, what else do you think you can offer that
Well, I
we'll
also,
host?
I did reach out to
Yes.
Nichols at the beginning of the semester, as I always do, and we're just like, a reminder that we have volunteer opportunities, and here's are some of the things, I mentioned, if you have any tech savvy kids
Oh,
who
yeah.
are willing
Yep,
to
yep.
dedicate, I don't know, a couple hours a month to helping some of our patrons who need it,
Right.
that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
And what was the
if we-
feedback?
If we had anyone. that-
I got essentially, thanks, it's the start of the semester, we can't think about anything right now.
Well, semester's underway, maybe there's
What
lots
department did you
of.
contact?
Suveshi.
Student, yeah,
Was it
whatever.
Oh, Suveshi?
Might be.
Student affairs, student living, I don't
Oh,
know,
no,
whatever
that's
that
not
office
Susan,
is.
no.
How, can we ask you to reach out to them again now that it's already, we're gonna be in October?
Yeah, I was actually gonna do it, I had to check the calendar for when midterms were, because I figure about that time, all the students have settled in and,
That's a great idea, though.
Student,
Thank you
it
for
will
that.
be student activities,
yeah, I think that's who I talked to.
Office of Student Life.
Yeah.
There is a member of the faculty, I'm going
was-
to plug the Black Tavern now. There is a program that's going to be at the Black Tavern. Do you
Yep.
have the date?
Yep. Third or fourth Thursday in in October, I'm not sure where they're.
Upcoming program at the
Upcoming.
Black Tavern regarding local archaeology presented by a member of the faculty of Nichols
Yep,
College.
yep.
And that's someone we could consider probably bringing into the library at some point in the future.
Yeah,
mean,
I
not
try
immediately
not
after,
to
but-
poach the Black Tavern's programs too close to each other.
Well, no,
We have
I'm-
a- we have an informal agreement that
No, I'm saying, give it some time in between, but I mean, something we could put on the dance card, if you will, for future reference.
Yeah, but we have an informal agreement that
say
we try not
dance
to do the
card?
same
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
too
dating
close to each
myself
other.
again, I won't forget that.
Get that in the minutes.
Please do.
There's a lot of seniors in this corner, so we're reliving our childhood.
I'm not the oldest in this
Hopefully, we
group.
can maybe put something together for a fall fair.
I kind of like the idea of,
I don't know if it's too late this year to put something together. Like,
Well,
their schedules,
yeah, no,
I
but-
don't know.
Yeah, their
In-
schedules for some of those offices are
in
set.
truth, we did kind of, do the fire hose thing here in terms of blasting a lot of ideas that Drusilla, so if we could pick up on a couple of those, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And the involvement with Nichols College, I think, is something that
Oh,
really
yeah.
has
Yep.
long-term potential as
Yep.
well as immediate possibilities.
agree.
All right, so,
I'm sorry, I just realized I forgot one thing.
okay.
The town, as some of you know, because some of you already have your badges, the town is doing badges for board members, and eventually for staff, but they haven't gotten that far yet. If you all could send me a headshot, essentially, a picture of your head, on a blank background.
Can't they just take our picture here?
No,
They can't.
they can, but,
She was the only one doing it.
Yeah, she's the only one doing it. So I said I would ask the board if they could send me, or I can take your picture standing against this wall here, and I would
Do it.
send, and then she could batch do
Yeah.
the.
Gotta be pretty for that. I'm sorry.
I didn't notice.
But
Yeah.
if
There's
you
three of us,
could-
yeah, there you go, done. Who's gonna see the damn badge? You.
If you could do that within the next few days and get me, like I said, a headshot against a Blake, so it just needs to be your face.
It can't be worse than the one I have.
And
You're all
she
in
did
good
ask
shape
for a
there.
blank background, so don't stand, I was like, oh, I'll stand in front of bookshelves. She was like, no, blank wall. But then I can send them to her and hopefully she can have them ready for the next board meeting and I can just hand them all to you, rather than trying to go to her individually.
And what are the badges going to do?
So essentially it's going to say you have,
Picky.
so it's part of the town's security effort.
They're gonna be a location so they know where I am?
No, it's essentially saying that, like, if you happen to be in the building, like, after hours,
Yeah.
and one of the police sees you, they're like, oh, you have a badge, you're entitled to be in this building at this time.
Yeah, the
It's
police
part of
officers
their-
didn't ask us. who we
No,
were.
they
don't
don't.
need to
Yeah.
wear them?
Well, it's not fully in effect yet, but I
Right.
believe it also that
Yeah,
they
they haven't-
give
they-
you some access as well.
Yes,
Yeah, so
that's
there's
what
going to be,
happened.
like, after hours, I think the plan is, because there's now sensors on all of these doors, and after hours,
Perfect.
what they'll do
Yeah,
is
put
lock
them.
down, parts of the building, but if you have a badge, you'll be able to come, like, upstairs to the meeting room, that kind of thing.
And to Joyce's point, I suspect they will know.
They're gonna know what doors you were in tonight.
Just like the turnpike with your transponder knows who was,
Yeah, they're gonna-
where you went and when you went.
I don't think that your badges are actually gonna, Lita and I will have keys to get into the building is gonna be one of the fob things.
Uh-huh.
But my understanding is that otherwise it's just to be like, yes, you're authorized to be in this building because you have official
Okay.
business here.
Well,
I don't know.
The locked door
Whoever's
is an
walking.
issue here, so.
well,
What
we
can I say?
learned something about that today.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk to Michelle about the timing aspect of that.
It's two, you need to talk to two.
Yeah, I'll email her and be like, hey, because I've been back and forth with her, obviously about badges and things.
Found out the doors were on something of a timer. When Joyce and I got here this evening, we couldn't get into the building. We had to go through the police lobby.
That's what we used to do all the
Always,
time.
right.
We used to
But
But
do that
now
all the
because
that's-
the police weren't here, there was nobody here,
Right.
we had to
Yeah,
call the
I'll double
central
check.
agency.
I'll double check what
And they're like,
time
oh, they're out on a
she's got them set
call,
for.
you'll have to wait until.
The answer is
so we
don't
couldn't
come
do it.
early.
Well,
Well, I'm
all
sorry,
right,
Ed, but we
all
had
right,
a meeting.
let's not put that in the minutes. We'll strike that from the
We had
minutes.
a meeting.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, I'll check with her. I have a note to check.
Do we have further thoughts with regards to the opportunities in programming? Again, I think we have a number of issues,
Yeah.
a number of ideas, and
Good.
hopefully if we can get some traction on
And I
just a
think
couple
it's-
of those, that would be
I think
great.
it's good during the meeting, just something comes up, we'll say,
think.
Oh, by the way, here's a good idea. Then we aren't in the middle of this, oh, I gotta come up with something, and how are we gonna do it, you know?
You can always email me too,
And-
you know, hey.
yeah.
Well, you can always go visit you.
Some people come visit me, yes.
Whether you want or not.
Opportunity to come up with a thought and an idea, board member comments and/or observations.
That's
Put you on the spot, Ed.
Kathy has one.
Kathy, I'm sorry.
I have the contact information for Ernie Morse, who you asked about.
There's the name.
He has, I don't want to say it on, you know,
Yeah,
but I
okay.
will give you the
Yes.
information at the end.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We
We've been
have an
looking for
email
that.
and a telephone.
What's that to do with?
He's the man
For the
that
doors.
Yeah.
works on the woodwork.
Yes.
Good.
No, the minute you said the name, I said, that's
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Thank you.
What is this for?
It's
Refinishing the front
refinishing
doors.
the doors.
Oh,
Yeah, he's a
okay.
woodworker.
Yeah, I know the last time
Craftsman.
I talked to him about something a really long time ago now, and he
Yeah.
was kind of swamped, but if we can at least get on his radar.
Oh, sure.
I
Could be just
wonder
bring
if
them.
approach to Bay Path? I mean, they're doing the police department renovation or whatever's going on down there, so they're kind of in the neighborhood. I don't know if that falls into anything that fits into their curriculum, obviously, but they do have a plant maintenance group up there, and it kind of fits into that to some extent.
I would think so.
They didn't get back to her, right?
No, they did get back to her eventually,
tried to
but the
spruce
price
up
was
the
no
doors,
cheaper than
the
it was anywhere else. I mean, it took them forever to get back to her, and then it
Yeah.
was,
How old is the building? It looks
A little more than 10 years.
10 years.
It opened 2010, so 12 years, actually.
yeah, around 12 years in July.
Looks brand new.
I'm sorry, Joyce, do you have a comment?
Yep, I do. The sign was on my list, so I'm happy we already talked about that. The property line with our neighbor.
Yes. good catch.
I spoke to the planner's office and the powers that be up there, and they show it as that's actually, the fence is on the property line. They show
So
it-
where did it come up that it wasn't on our property line?
my guess is that the surveyor assumed that it was a straight line, the property
right.
line, and it's not. There is actually a slight zig in it.
Oh.
So how does the
But there would be a
surveyor get
corner
that
pin.
information?
I
I was
don't,
going to say, there's had to
I
be a
talked
corner
to,
pin.
Yeah, like there's a,
Oh, okay, we got,
Yeah.
let's.
but I talked to the planner and the town, the town people who keep such records, and they indicate that it is where it should be.
All these, all of this information is.
So does our-
deeds and-
does our survey, so our
survey
survey wasn't right?
Doesn't sound
And
it.
that's the survey we have on record now.
Was that a survey that we contracted for individually, or did
Yeah,
we go through MLA?
when I look at the plan, I went back and forth with them a couple of times, and I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't look like the fence is where it should be, but the town department insists that it is, so.
All right. I have
I
a
think it
planning board
should be.
meeting, I have a
We-
planning
we
board
should-
meeting tomorrow, I'll
Yes.
check with Bill.
Yeah, check with
I
Bill. He
suspect
and I had
from
a-
what you're saying, he will probably tell me what he's told you, so it may not change a
Yeah.
great deal, but. we'll-
Yeah.
But
we'll-
the survey on record then isn't correct.
Well, yeah.
Well,
you got-
whatever
that's
is
what
in
we
the
need
book
to
and
know.
page in the registry of deeds
Right.
in Worcester would be what is,
That would be
That's the
what I think the
record.
planner's making reference to.
yeah.
Now, whether that is, now, those things are changed. They do have changed. We do have, periodically, we have things that are changing in terms of those lot lines, plot lines, if you will. So maybe there's something pending.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk to Bill and
Yeah, I'll-
clarify with him, but I, like I
Yeah,
said,
I'll
I
see
went
if
back
we
and
can get
forth
some
a couple of
clarification
times
on
and
it.
was like,
But again, my thought is he's probably going to just tell me what he's told you, so we'll see if there's anything further we can find out.
Yeah, I think we just need to have a clarification on that, so that.
The issue, one of the issues that came up with the the selectmen's meeting last night is they're looking to add the highway superintendent to be certified, I think that's the term, as a building inspector going forward.
yeah, well, I know they've had a conversation about a department head meeting about the building inspection is way behind.
Right.
Because they're understaffed, so.
Yeah, so they're looking to move forward with that, and that's, I think, what we'd have to resort to in terms of trying to get that resolved at some point. Okay,
Final comment.
final comment.
Where do we stand with the dementia-friendly meetings or?
Well, since right now there's no director of the senior center, they're on hiatus at the moment until we have someone in there.
So that's who was in charge of it,
Yes.
was them?
Margaret was
Yeah.
So I
running
hate
it.
to see us drop the ball though.
Yeah.
But
Because
so
there's
we
no one there?
We just, In fact, the box just came in today. We have a number of books that we've ordered on,
Awesome.
caring for folks with dementia. Lita ordered some that were, for kids, like, grandpa has dementia, what does that mean? And the start of the memory kits are sitting in my office.
Yep.
As we gather bits and pieces for those, because it's more than just plunk a book in there.
Oh, yeah,
Trying to
it
come
is.
up with the different.
Yeah, they're themed and.
And then,
Yeah.
trying to have something, a box showed up and one of the staff opened it. She's like, why are there 8 bottles of essential oils? And I'm like, because they're the smells that go with the things in the kit,
Yep.
because sometimes smell triggers. So I'm like, they're mine. They're coming to me.
I was going to add that, as I recall, that, I guess that was the kickoff for the, I don't know, what was the terminology? The
Dementia-friendly community.
Dementia-friendly, yeah.
There was representatives there from both Overlook and Tri-Valley. And if
It's
the
quite-
senior center's not functioning, there's some lack of action or activity there, I think Tri-Valley might be in position to pick up some of that or keep that ball rolling, at least.
Yeah, I'd hate to
minimally.
see
So my
Stop,
understanding was, there was a pause while there was no director of the
Right,
senior center.
I appreciate that, there may be a pause downstairs, but if we go to Mill Street, there might
Right.
not be a pause there.
Right.
So if there's somebody that we could,
And you said you
At
see
least
her
identify.
Oh,
regularly,
Lisa comes in all the
so
time.
you
Yeah.
could touch base with her, that would be great.
that'd be great, yeah.
How many themes is the library looking to put together? How many?
Well, I'm starting with 4.
Okay. What other topics?
Beach.
Yep.
Or ocean, birthdays,
Mm-hmm.
Christmas, and gardening. The garden, flowers, plants, that kind of thing.
What was your second one?
Beach, birthday,
Birthdays.
Christmas,
Birthday, okay.
and
Gardening.
the garden.
Garden.
Yep.
I'd like to see one maybe around the mills, the Stevens Linen or any millwork,
Yeah,
like
the-
Webster
the-
Dudley, because so many of our seniors, that's where they work.
Have they worked in the shoe
They
factories?
worked in the
and-
factories, the
Yeah,
local
it's-
mills.
I had to go with things that, because there are guidelines, you have to have something that smells like the thing, and you want something that
Oil.
you can. But then things that you can touch.
Work would be the more inclusive.
Yeah, I mean, but I started with 4 that I knew I could get all
Yeah.
of the different
Good for
aspects
you,
in.
yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
it's,
that's good.
it's, you want things that smell like whatever it is, and things that you can touch, and then a couple of books on it, because,
Yeah.
we found some picture books with gorgeous illustrations, so they're heavy on the
Nice.
pictures about
Yeah.
the different things.
I was just thinking one community based,
Oh,
something
trust me, yeah,
community.
you say that, I
But-
can still smell Bay Shoe Company.
Okay, so
I'm
if you can
saying,
figure
like,
out how to bottle
Exactly, how do you do
that
that?
machine
That's-
oil.
Exactly.
Smell of machine oil, they
And
don't
the-
remember that.
And the
But yeah,
last.
so we're
And
starting
the noise,
with
and the noise,
And the
and the noise.
uppers,
And the
oh,
noise,
gosh.
and the noise.
All right, all the seniors are babbling.
Maybe
so-
after those, or if
It
we
worked.
continue to do programming, but I think a music program like swing music kind of a
Yeah,
thing
we've
where you
had
can bring in-
that. I'm hoping that we'll get some folks for the baseball music that's in November, because I think
Okay.
that he does some songs that he wrote himself, and then some of the classic songs about baseball, and he also tells stories about the Boston Red Sox, because he was a sportscaster for them for some insane number of years. So stories going back about.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But yeah, we've had swing in the past, so he's on my list. Try not to repeat too often. But, and we did just have Doug, who did music from the 40s, was just 2 months ago? Last month? 2 months. In
Joyce,
there
was that
somewhere.
your final comment then?
That is my final comment. I motion to adjourn.
That was your final, that was not the final.
Oh, okay.
Kathy, do you have anything you'd care to add?
I think I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to put you on the spot.
I'll keep thinking about different things that we can do with little kids.
Excellent.
Because that's really
Yeah, and
important.
I mean, the easiest thing to do is if you have a chance to come in, Lita's there until 8 on Monday nights, and just chat with her.
Yeah.
Because she knows what is possible better than I do. She knows what we have the infrastructure for. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? The pieces for, and what we'd have to bring outside.
Yeah, I remember I went to Charlton one time and there was a lady who was doing story time, but with music and movement.
Yeah, probably Deb Hudgens, who
Yeah,
comes to
so
us.
something like that.
Okay.
I don't know,
And yoga was,
Painting.
we had yoga, is that
We had-
stopped?
We're starting yoga up again in January. We had a really hard time scheduling with her. She's a school teacher and she has kids. So trying to schedule something, we could not find more than like 2 Saturdays in the fall.
Maybe
Ah,
we
we
need to
need more
schedule it
Saturdays.
sooner. One Saturday, there you
Well,
go.
so we're gonna start doing, because Webster does yoga on the Saturdays, so we were duplicating what they were doing, like 15 minutes apart, so we're gonna be doing chair yoga starting in January,
Okay.
just to have a little bit of a different.
Well, I
Good.
want to thank you for being with us this evening, and you've certainly brought some thoughts to the table.
Thank
and
you.
Hopefully, we can move forward with some of those. Thank you. Ben?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm good.
Well, they're always.
All right. I have no comments, all right?
Frickin' Frank over here, the three of us, the Three Stooges. I just, again, I would hope maybe next meeting, you could give us some thoughts in terms of what Saturday year-round might look like, in terms of what you think we might have in terms of staffing needs, if in fact that is the case, and what kinds of programs you think might be amenable to that sort of a schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd essentially, we already do programs on Saturdays, so it'd just be a matter of.
All right.
scheduling
Well,
our programs
what
on
I'm getting
Saturdays.
at, I think, is in a roundabout sort of way, which I usually do, go around the circle, is we've had a number of ideas presented this evening, maybe some that we've thought of in the past and need to kind of bring back, and maybe some new thoughts, too. We keep changing. Other than that, I think Joyce's motion might be in order at this point.
I make a motion that we adjourn at 7:32 PM.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Aye.
And our next
And
meeting.
unanimous.
Our
Our
next
next meeting,
October
25th.
Yep.
Yes, and I
25th.
hope to see you all on the 27th, either with children